This is Algebra 2, Unit 7, Lesson 2. In this unit, we're going to convert quadratic equations from vertex form to standard form. So vertex form, remember, is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. That's what we have here. And then standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So basically, when you're going from vertex form to standard form, usually students find this a little bit easier because it's just a matter of doing a little FOIL and then doing a distributive, and then we're adding the like terms. So it's pretty simple. It's basic Algebra 1, really. So if I convert this to standard form, on the left, I'm still going to have f of x. I'm going to keep the 2, and then x minus 1 squared means I have 2 x minus 1's. And I will need to FOIL those together. Now, hopefully, I'm going to show all the steps with this first one, but hopefully after the first one, you can do this without having to show all of this work. So I'm going to keep the 2. When I FOIL, I do the first terms, that would be x squared. The outside terms would be minus 1x. The inside term is minus 1x. And the last terms is plus 1. And then we still have the plus 3 on the outside. I'm going to add my like terms on the inside. So I have x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then the plus 3 on the outside. And then I distribute. It's very important as you're doing this to make sure you don't do the steps in the wrong order. If you do, you will get some things wrong. We have to pay attention to the order that we do things. And so my final answer, my standard form of this equation, is f of x equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 5. And we could sometimes maybe factor that to find the roots if they ask us to find the roots. It's really easy to find the y-intercept using this form, and we'll talk about that as the chapter goes further, which method or which equation works best to find which information. For this one, if we're converting it to standard form, the first thing I'm going to do is FOIL this. Well, if I FOIL that, I have x plus 2 times x plus 2. I have a negative 1. This FOILed will be x squared plus 4x plus 4. Still have the plus 4 on the outside. I'm going to distribute the negative 1. Y equals negative x squared minus 4x minus 4 plus 4. Notice the negative 1 only distributes to the 3 in parentheses, not that 4. And then I add like terms. The negative 4 and 4 cancel out. So that is the standard form. Now, if we're thinking about the different variables in the standard form, for this one, the a is 2, b is negative 4, c is 5, the constant. 5 will also be your y-intercept, and we'll talk more about that later. Here, a is negative 1, b is negative 4, and the constant in this one is 0. So the y-intercept is the origin. It's going to go through 0, 0. This is something else that they might do. They may give you one that's not in vertex form, but it's in something similar, and they might ask you to find standard form. Really, all you need to understand there is when you're finding standard form, you're going to FOIL everything together and then add your like terms. You're going to get it into one, something that's unfactored, something that's not in factored form. So in order to do that, I could do it 2 different ways. I could distribute the 5 first if I want to. So that would be 5x minus 25 times x plus 6, and then I would FOIL these 2 together. So 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 6 is 30x minus 25x, which would be 5x. And negative 25 times 6 is negative 150. So now I've written that one in standard form. This one looks very similar to vertex form, but it's not quite in vertex form just because the x here has a coefficient. If it's in vertex form, it won't have a coefficient there. Your a value, that number would be on the outside with the a. But if their directions are to just find standard form, you're still just going to distribute everything or FOIL everything together and then add your like terms. So it's nothing different here. It's just not quite in vertex form in the given form there. But that's okay. We can still do this one. So we've got f of x equals, I'm going to save that -1/2 and I'm going to use it after I have FOILed the 2x minus 5 squared. I keep the +2 on the outside. It might be tempting too. Some people like to try to add the 5 or the -5 and the 2. You can't do that because that square has to be dealt with first. Remember order of operations. Also, you cannot multiply the -1/2 times the 2. They're two separate terms. There's a plus. This term is separated from this term with a plus. So you cannot add them together until you have simplified this term as far as it will go. So we have to FOIL. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times -5 is -10x. -5 times 2x is -10x. So we've got a -20x because -10x plus -10x is -20x. And then -5 times -5 is a +25. We still have the +2. Next, I'm going to distribute the -1/2. So f of x equals -2x squared plus 10x minus 25/2 plus 2. And then I need to add the -25/2 and the 2 to finish this one off. So I've got f of x equals -2x squared plus 10x. And then -25/2 plus 2, that's a 4/2. So -25/2 plus 4/2 is a -21/2. And again, calculator can be used for that. You don't have to do that in your head. Here I have two examples. Write them down, pause the video, see if you can get them, and then I'll go over them with you in a few minutes. In the first one, first I FOILed the x minus 6 squared. So I would write it down twice and FOIL. That gives me x squared minus 12x plus 36. Then I have to distribute that minus sign, which would be -x squared plus 12x minus 36, and then the +2. So -36 plus 2 is -34, leaving me with that standard form quadratic equation. In the next one, I had 3 things multiplied together. This one was not in vertex form, but that doesn't matter. If our directions are to find the standard form, we're just finding ax squared plus bx plus c form. So first I distributed the 2. That gave me a 2x minus 8. Then I FOILed 2x minus 8 times x minus 8. I get 2x squared minus 24x plus 64 for my final answer. So in this one, my a is 2, my b is -24, my c is 64. I know that my y-intercept is 64. So this tells me that's probably not one I want to graph because I don't want to have to go up to 64 unless I use something like Desmos that can do all that for me.